Yo, what up, my friends? How's it going? It's Franny back in the shop here. I hope you guys didn't miss me too much.
We missed you so much.
Missed you so much. I missed you guys. If you guys are just joining the stream now, welcome. This is our Thursday class that we usually hold, just to teach you guys a bit about knife sharpening here and there. So we welcome you guys into our shop here. Today our theme's a bit different than usual now. Today we're going to be sharpening up and teaching you guys how to sharpen up a Chinese cleaver. Unfortunately, I don't have a Chinese cleaver.
Oh, we're doing butcher knife. It was Chinese cleaver last week.
Yeah. Butcher knife. Okay, yeah. So we got to whip up butcher knives. So the butcher knives that we have is made from Arcos here. Right, we got a nice little Arcos cleaver. We also got a couple other like kind of cheapo knives and cleavers here too as well. And we're going to show you guys how to sharpen one of these guys. Half forward, half backwards?
Backwards.
Half backwards,
yeah. I like half backwards.
All right, you can see more of my face. Yeah,
we can see more of your beautiful face.
Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. So yeah, we're going to be sharpening up a couple of butcher's cleaver. And this is going to be a bit fun because a lot of people ask us about how to sharpen these guys. And they're not super difficult. They're actually super easy because you don't have to get them like super sharp. You can get like a subpart edge to them and just continuously to sharpen them over time. Because one thing with these guys is they're going to be used against harder foods, bones, and stuff like that. So the edge is going to dull pretty quickly. So you probably want to frequently up care them with sharpening once in a while. So this is a great way if you want to learn how to sharpen. Just grab yourself a Chinese cleaver. Just learn how to just basically sharpen these guys up, and then you'll get a lot better in terms of like overall sharpening with other things. So today. I'm going to show you guys a couple of stones that we're going to use with these guys. Just a series of different types of stones. These guys don't really need to go as fine as a Japanese knife because steel is not as hard. So we can usually refine them to typically a lower grit than we usually finish it on. Just for the extra bit of toothiness, we're just looking to get an edge onto these guys and just chop through bones and other bigger stuff, right? So let's go through our stones here. What do we have for today? I'm just going to put this on the side here. So the stones that we're going to be working with, typically with a lot of Chinese cleaver, you will see chips. You will see little damages on the edge. Maybe the edge is a bit rounded, and then that's typically fine. On these kinds of knives, you want more of like a wider, maybe more of a convex type of grind, just because it's going to hold up to those damages and large heavy forces that you're going to apply to these knives. So in this case right here, we're going to start with our 220 here. 220 stone is very rough. It's almost like the one of the lowest ones that we carry, aside from the 150, 180 lobster stone. But these guys are meant to grind away a lot of material, like grinding out chips, damages, maybe just making that initial edge. One thing about softer steel is sometimes it's a little bit harder to sharpen too. It takes a bit of time, so it's always lovely to actually sharpen one of these guys because the process just takes a bit longer than usual. So definitely we'll start with those guys. And then we're going to finish it on a slightly finer stone. So let's see what we have here. Let's go for just a classic, or maybe about a 6. This guy's an 800 professional here. This guy's a great little finishing stone. That guy is going to give him a nice toothy finish. That's going to be very sharp, but it's also going to cut the steel fast enough for a softer steel like this. Typically, you might want to bring it up to maybe around, take maybe a 2,000 grit stone. Not really necessary, but it does give that edge a little bit of oomph, maybe a little more sharpness. If you're looking to maybe use that cleaver for maybe a bit of slicing and just portioning with that same knife, you may want to refine it just a bit more, but not necessarily important if you're doing just bone chopping and whatnot. So that's a 2,000 grit stone that we have right here. So that's going to be my trio that I'll be using today. I might not likely use this guy here just because it's not really needed for the knives that we have. But yeah, we can just get started on here. I'm gonna put this guy's away. I'm gonna grab my 220 stone. So with a lot of stones, particularly with our lower grit ones, a lot of them do need to be pre-soaked. This guy has been soaking in our big red bucket here for pretty much his entire life, honestly. This guy basically lives in this water here. If you're just doing it at home and you don't want it to be submerged in the water like 24/7, you can always take it out and let it dry for about 2 or 3 hours before you start away, or else it starts starting like mold, and that's not fun, right? So yeah, just soak your stones for at least 15-20 minutes before you start, and we can get started right away here. So this is our 220 grit stone here, and with the 220 grit stone, it's going to be lovely for these cleavers. So I'm going to say take out this cleaver here. This guy's a piece of art here. It says today's kitchen stainless steel, very special stuff.
A real
here.
Piece of art. Huh?
Yeah, real piece of art here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then overall, like it's gonna be an amazing type of steel. Yeah, right. But we're gonna sharpen this up for the meantime here. So we got a 220 stone. Now with the thing with sharpening Chinese cleavers, it's I find with a lot of these guys, you don't have to really maintain a really consistent angle because you're going to be chopping up through bones and stuff like that. So it's not really necessary to have like a really sharp edge. You want a little bit more rigidity.
Yeah, rigidity.
Yeah, exactly.
Be really stable.
That's a big word for me. It just helps to kind of hold its basically its edge as you pound it through, right? So you can actually sharpen these guys. What I like to do is I like to keep it perpendicular, a little more perpendicular to the stone. So the edge is like kind of working on perpendicular. You can also switch up your hands just to kind of keep it nice and straight here. You typically in a lot of cleavers, they're not really rounded at all, right? So you can always sharpen up with the spine facing you and just go straight up and down, left and right? It just makes it a lot easier that way. Typically when we sharpen a lot of knives, we would do it in this fashion here, where we lay it flat onto the stone here, and then holding the knife in more of a diagonal on the stone here, so it contacts more of the surface. Not important, it's something that you can do, but if you want a little bit easier, maybe go perpendicular to the stone, it's a bit easier. Okay? So we're going to apply a bit of water. Now you can use a couple things to kind of determine like your height and stuff like that. Not super important, but you want to make sure that it's nice and consistent throughout it, as much as possible, right? But cleaver is not so much. Don't really care too much. So you to do something, maybe use a couple of magnets there, just so you don't go too low. Just something to guide off of them, right? And that's going to help to create a bit of space. You can see on that side of the camera here, it creates a little bit of a spacing here. And that just prevents you from going too low against the bevel here, so you don't scratch up the entire knife if you have a really nice cleaver that you want to keep in good shape. Right, and then place it on the stone there. And then lift it off the magnets just a bit so it's not grinding away on the stone there. And then you can proceed to do just the back heel here. Just go up and down. Right. Now, like I said, like you don't have to worry about getting the crispest line. Now, there's something that you can learn how to do if you have some other knives that you just want to keep practicing like a really nice consistent angle. But cleavers not so much important. You can round it off a bit, creating more of that convex grind to it, which is going to give it more rigidity. Okay, so go up. You can also go straight up and down. And like sharpening a normal knife, it's going to do the same thing in terms of what you're looking for. So as you sharpen up the steel or the edge of the knife, what's happening to the very knife is you're trying to basically shave off two edges of the apex, and then once it's formed an edge, it'll reach at the very apex of the blade, and it'll start to kind of develop that burr, right, and that wire kind of feeling hook as you sharpen. So on the side that you have the knife touching on the stone, it will be on the other side of the blade. So in this case here, I'm starting on my left side, so the burr is going to be pretty present on the right side of the blade here, right? If you don't feel it when you're brushing it, you can continue to go on and just continue to sharpen in that same area. But yeah, if you do feel it, you can move on to the next section of the blade, which is usually up to the very tip there. Okay, so in this case right here, we don't have the burr just quite yet. We're just going to focus just a bit more. going up and down the blade, right? And then just kind of slowly testing it just to see if you have that burr. And slowly, easy does it, going up to the very, very middle now. So I can feel a little bit of that kind of grab against the edge there. So continue on to sharpen it. And as you continue, just continue just the right tip there. Okay. Now, this makes me, I feel like I make it really easy here. For most people outside who are doing this for the first time, your cleaver is probably really, really dull. If it barely cuts a tomato, that's something you want to keep in mind. You're going to be working on the stone for much, much longer, right? So take your time, be very patient with this kind of cleave, with all the butcher cleavers out there. They do take a bit of time to grind down, but it's something that you can learn to practice and just learn how fast the metal wears down on these guys. So it goes nice and slow. Okay, so once you got the edge kind of developed on the edge of the knife here, or the blade, we can start to flip it onto the other side, right? So just like the other side, I'm just gonna move the magnets now to the other side, just so I don't go too low. Place it right to the heel of the blade here, and then I could just lift up the magnets up and just start to sharpen again. Okay, just make sure there's a little bit of water, just like that, right? In this kind of grip here, you can see like I don't have a really good grip on my fingers. My fingers are kind of holding the knife really weird. So in this case, like having a full grip with your palm on top of the handle there just gives you a more comforting type of a solid grip to it. Okay? And you can always jet out your elbow just a bit, just to kind of to reposition the knife on the blade on the stone here, and continue to work it up and down there. Right. And there you go. The edges are formed on this guy. Right. So once you've done a big majority on your 220 stone, you can move that away for now. Actually, we're going to deburr the knife because there's pretty big nerves on this one. So I'm going to do a one pass from tip to heel. This is going in one direction and the other side as well. Okay. And that's going to help me knock the burr so I can easily find a burr on the next stone here. Okay, so the 220 is done. It's formed an edge for us right here. Pretty good one here. You just feel a bit of the catchiness from the burrs. So from here, we're just going to move on to the next stone here, which is my 800 foot stone here. Bye, Jordan.
Bye. Later, Jordan.
Okay, so we're going to take our 800 good stone, and we're going to have to flatten this guy. So go over here. We're going to flatten this stone here before we move on to so let's just flatten our stone. Let's see. So typically we would see like something like this here. This is called a chewing stone. I'm gonna put this on the table here. These guys are typically made out of silicon carbide, which is a type of grinding material that's very hard, and it's bonded together to make this stone here. It's got little channels in them, so when you're flattening your stone, it doesn't feel like you're fighting with the stone, and it creates like an air pocket which gets stuck under. Which makes it really hard to move around the stone. So that's incorporated into their design there. These guys do wear down very, 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 very slowly. So if you're sharpening just kitchen knives and whatnot, this is fine for a lot of people. If you want your stones to be absolutely zero flat, you may want to consider getting a diamond stone. A diamond stone is a bit different. It's typically glued on like diamond abrasives on the surface here, which over time do wear down much slower than the actual silicon carbide version, which helps to get you like a true flat, right? And the last one too. So yeah, they're much easier to use too because they also cover full area of most stones nowadays. So I'm going to give this guy a couple of passes. My God, this is not flat. This is embarrassing. I made a TikTok the other day with me just talking about how flat my stones are.
Well,
but I guess when my stones were actually flat.
Look at this guy. Old Spooky Stone Francis, the big idiot liar.
If you guys haven't followed us on TikTok before, we're always making some funny jokes on there, making some funny memes and just overall videos. So, I figured out that TikTok's not for for kids.
It's not for kids.
It's not for
anymore,
kids.
No.
It's not for kids. If you join in, you'll be like sucked in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So join in, watch our Knifewear page. Always lots of fun little jokes on there. Okay. So we got the 800 nice and flat. It's not really actually flat, but not really necessary for cleavers. So we're going to take our stone here, and just like the one side before, put the magnets on the other side of the blade here, lay it flat into the bevel there, and then let's continue to sharpen. So the exact same thing I'm going to be doing on this stone is exactly what I did with the previous stone. Just make sure to hold an appropriate angle. If it's okay if you're rounding it off, but you just want to make sure to form an edge to the very apex of the blade there. Okay, and just looking for that burr, right? That burr is the wire edge that you're looking for. Some people find this has a little hard time finding it. The best way to really look for it is simply simply just brush one side of the blade and then brush the other. You see if you feel like a huge difference between the two, right? In this case here, I still feel the burr on the left side, so I didn't quite get the edge here. So I'm just going to continue to sharpen with this guy. Just get rid of, knock out the burr, and come to the other side.
That Pro 800 grit stone is freaking fantastic.
Yeah. You know what? Like a lot of people in the in 90, not in 90 watt, but like the everybody who owns 90 watt stones always find that the 800 actually feels like a true 800 1000 grit stone, where our 1000 grit stone feels more like a 1500, a little bit finer, right? Which I quite like about the 1500. It gives you a really nice smooth finish to it, but the 800 just cuts a bit faster, more of that true finish that most people look for. All right, so working on the other side here, I got the burr on the other side of the blade there. Oh, not quite yet. One big burr, there you go. Burr's on the other side there. Okay. So once the burr's on the other side, we can flip it on to the other side. Just kind of match up the other side here. Don't worry about the angle, just worry about getting the edge, especially for these cleavers ones. Okay. All right, so once you get the edge on this guy, we can look to deburr the knife now. Right, so the edge has been formed. Like honestly, at this stage of the knife is sharp. I can probably use this to whack through bones and stuff like that, and I won't worry too much. It'll chop through like paper. You see here, cuts through paper really easily. This is a terribly acceptable edge, but there's still a lot of imperfection on the blade, which prevents it from actually chopping it out really cleanly and lasting for as long as possible. I'm going to take this to the microphone here. I'm going to everyone just. Right. It has a really scratchy noise to it. Right. So we're gonna improve this guy by taking off the burrs. So one way to take out the burrs is just simply just drop it on the stone here, going up and down in the opposite direction of the stone that you finished off. Right. And that should be able to kind of gently clean off anything that's on the blade there. And that itself is going to improve the overall like finish of it, right? I'm not sure if the microphone's going to actually pick up the difference, but it's a heck of a lot smoother now, right? It's not less scratchy than before. But yeah, in terms of another way of deburring the knife, we're going to use some other things here. There's a lot of options in terms of this. If you have an old pair of jeans that you wear, you can always stretch it out and just strap it on a pair of denim or cotton that you have on your pants there, and that works perfectly fine. One of the best materials to use is honestly leather. We use Latigo leather here, and it has a really nice, smooth, nice grainy structure to the cloak for the leather.
Can you move that chewing stone?
Chewing stone?
Just move that.
Move it?
Yeah, we can't see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
Right. So just going up and down, or like only one direction. So pretend you're spreading peanut butter on your piece of toast here on this toast paddle. Toast paddle.
The old toast paddle.
Toast paddle.
We are officially changing the name to the Knifewear toast paddle.
Yeah, toast paddle.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what knife you bring us, if it's a butcher's cleaver or if it's an axe or whatever, we'll always drop it somehow. Yeah, it always makes a big difference.
Sharpening is like that one secret where a lot of people who sharpen knives I swear by this stuff. Where if you just sharpen knives normally and you don't have this, you're missing out. Like it's a really big game changer. How I convince people to buy one of these guys is just simply use it. Right? It's hard to believe that something as simple as cotton or leather can make a huge difference to your finishing on the strop or your knives. But it does. It just makes it that much sharper.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of the time when I pull a knife out of the box when we're selling one in the shop and I give it a quick edge test, and people lose their minds because, oh, it's so sharp, you can slice through paper. But I'm still not super impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I explain to them, no, you should listen to this. And you use a strop, and then you slice the paper. And it's like, oh, that's what sharpness is.
Yeah. And, sometimes blacksmiths here and there will actually miss a couple, maybe blades. We're all human.
Yeah.
Right? We're all human. So,
did you get yourself there? You okay?
Something's hot.
Something's hot.
Something's hot.
Everything is hot.
Spicy.
It is boiling in this room right now. We turned off our fan because it's too loud. We're dying.
Yeah,
guys.
it's like an airplane.
Send help. I only have beer to drink.
At least you have beer. Anyways, we're gonna get to slicing out this paper. So I just gave it a couple of passes on our strop here. We're gonna take our that's a noisy truck there. Okay, we're gonna do one more time here. And I don't know if it's gonna be a difference in terms of overall sound to you guys, but it definitely sounds a lot lighter and gentle from my side here. And then you can see like it cuts paper, no problem, right? So once it cuts the paper, you're good to go. You can just toss this knife, chuck it around the room. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Yeah, just fine. Just make sure just practice on these knives. These are actually great. So that's how you sharpen up a bit of a cheaper kind of cleaver type of knife. It's the exact same thing as sharpening a normal knife. You can use the same technique. It depends on like how you want to do it. But the big difference is that convex type of grind that you get with the Chinese cleaver or just any butcher's knives in general. Now, one good way to really get an edge on these guys would be to use like a whole classic like belt sander. That toothiness to the belt gives you that convex type of grind to it, but also gives you that nice kind of toothiness, which benefits for a lot of like tearing, especially meats and stuff like that. So typically when you see a cleaver of some sort, they usually have like really rough grinds to the edges, and it just works out way better that way, honestly. But at home, all we have is like just classic sharpening stones, so they work just as fine, and you get them really, really sharp with these guys too. Okay. So yeah, that's the basis of sharpening a butcher's cleaver or whatnot.
Why don't we talk just a little bit about those types of butcher's cleavers with the edge all the way up?
All the way up, yeah. Those guys.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys in a second here. More of these, more
2,000 stone or something like that.
Yeah. These guys are typically so Arcos makes this one that has a very pronounced curve to their blade. They got a hole in the top, but it's the edge is always sharpened from here all the way to the very tip of the blade, which is further up of the spine there. So these guys are great for butchering and doing more of a push motion to it, especially like deboiling chicken and stuff like that. This is what they use. What was the real reason for these guys again?
The tip you can sort of push through stuff like that, and you can also do a really good drag, like roll it back like that, and use the belly against the cutting board. It's a more European style of butcher's cleaver. You don't see those guys from a lot of other manufacturers than European guys. It's kind of a cool shape. I almost personally prefer the bigger, thicker, heavy ones, but these guys are a bit more articulate, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. A little more unique, I would say, but very popular design. Nice and light, very small. One of our small ones that we carry because of the cleaver section of our store. All right, so we're into so this article is actually pretty sharp out of what you see here. So what we're gonna do is the burr is actually on this blade here, and this is a great example of like the manufacturer probably not finishing them up to the highest edge or the stropping end of it. My God, my hands are so dry. Okay, so we have a piece of paper here, and it has a really loud scratchy noise to it. So it does have a huge burr to it. So we're going to knock that off. We're going to Does that scare you a bit?
Just a tiny little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So this is a little technique where we you can only really do this through like maybe some leather. I wouldn't do it through leather, honestly. But a soft piece of wood work really well. The corner or just the edge of it is soft enough where it won't damage the edge, but it will take off the burr very gently. So what you want to do is just place it directly up, straight 90 degrees onto the piece of wood, and just slowly drag it through, right? And if you have burrs currently present on the blade, you can actually start to feel it as you drag it. And that is just simply the metal just ripping off the edge of the knife, which kind of completes the overall feel and sharpness of it. That doesn't sound any different, but it definitely feels a lot better too. But yeah, we're gonna sharpen this guy up for you guys here. So in this case right here, my butcher cleaver is actually, you saw it was pretty sharp already. So on this guy, ooh, I do have a 1500 up King Tiger stone here. I'm trying to use this guy here. So this is a King Tiger 1500. I like to keep my, like I said, for like the other cleaver that I just sharpened, I like to keep it in more of a lower type of grit, just to kind of give that toothiness and easy sharpness to it. Not refining it super fine. So take my 1500, and this is going to be my finishing stone, but this knife is still pretty sharp, so don't have to work a lot, right? Very awkward way to sharpen these guys.
Yeah,
so,
it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, so you really have to adjust it, and these are ones where like having a bit of a rounded edge is okay because it's a really hard edge to sharpen. Typically, these would be done on the belt sander, going and then all the way through, gets that nice edge to it. But we're hand sharpening. We're teaching you guys how to do this today, so follow us along. So get at the very edge of the tip here, and simply just rock it. Go nice and slow. For me, I'm not super experienced in sharpening a lot of these guys too as well. But everything is sharpened the exact same way here. So just a couple of up and down passes, and as you sharpen it, you can probably see the blade road of your knife here. Sometimes people love to match the angle, and I'll show you guys how to match the angle on this guy here. So I'm gonna take my knife here, and let's see if I have a Sharpie around the edge here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife and simply just draw a bit of a marker all the way around the edge here, right? And I wanted it to be thicker than the actual bevel that you see on the blade, just to give it more of an indication of where you're sharpening, right? So the reason why the marker we're doing this is to see what portion of the blade we're actually touching as we sharpen, and just to make sure that we're not over sharpening it or rounding up the bevel. If you want to keep more of a precise angle to it, but not as necessary. Take our stone, take our knife, and depending on where you want to start, this is going to be on the left side here. So we're going to start with a tip there, and just kind of slowly sharpen up that area there. Right? So as you sharpen it, we're going to do a couple passes, and as you pass it, you can probably start to see, probably not actually.
Yeah, I can see it. You put it back there. I can see that for sure. Yeah, hold that up. You can see where the Sharpie, a little bit higher up. There you go. You can sort of see where the Sharpie's ending there and where the blade road's beginning. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you can start with the C where the Sharpie is getting rubbed off. So if you're happy with the angle that you originally put onto it, then you continue on. And don't worry about the Sharpie not coming off. It comes off. It's not permanent, guys. Just use alcohol.
Yeah.
We do this every day.
Permanent marker.
Permanent marker. Permanent marker.
Yeah.
No, it's not permanent, but it is a chef's best friend.
Oh yeah. If you work in a kitchen, you don't have a Sharpie. Do you really work in a kitchen?
Yeah, you lose at least 18 of them.
Yeah, you gotta have that Sharpie and your thermometer is in that pocket and a spoon. Your Gestura spoon.
Yeah. Spoon.
Your Gestura chef spoon.
Spoon. We sell more spoons than knives here, guys.
Oh man, we sell so many spoons.
So many spoons, yeah.
Pop on to knifewear.com and look up the Gestura chef spoon. It's friggin' phenomenal. Yeah. It's such a good tool.
Hashtag spoonware.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, so we're going to just take out the leads. You can see now the marker is a lot more faded. The edge is still there now, right? We're going to test the edge here, and nice toothiness to it. Really, really good. Okay. We'll find the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing. Marker on one side. Oh, I'm struggling. There we go. Just gotta place the marker right around.
Did the marker make that sound, or did you make that sound with your mouth?
I made that sound.
Ah.
You really think the marker's gonna make that sound?
I thought maybe you made that sound.
No. Marker don't make that sound.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Francis make that sound.
What if you yell at me?
Yeah, you're yelling at me.
It's true, I am.
Yeah.
I need to check my attitude at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Owen.
Sorry.
You need to check your attitude. There we go. Yeah, so markers on there is pretty clear now. Pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys don't see it, you're blind.
What about our blind viewers out there?
Ooh, I'm sorry, actually.
Blind viewers.
Blind viewers. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to offend anybody out there. I will just put my release notice in no time.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So I'm gonna do it with my left side now because most people are right-handed and they will do it with my left side. So it's gonna be a bit of an awkward kind of look to it. So I'm gonna try to mimic the other side with the same motion. So in this case right here, it was about this kind of high, and I'm gonna rock it back and forth just around this angle here. And I'm doing this front edge first, just because I'm not really familiar. It's a lot easier to do the rest of the blade down here. Just kind of rock it back and forth along the edge here, just creating that nice burr. All right, just nice and slowly. I can see that I'm not going low enough, so I'm just going to adjust my angle just a bit. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, boy. Okay, so nice and slow. You can see how slow I'm going. I'm not going super fast. There's no reason to go super fast. Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps just sharpening this knife.
You scared?
Just the feel of this knife is kind of.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I know exactly what you had.
It's kind of like if you.
There's that sort of weird feedback that gives you the ghiblis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like nails on chalkboard.
Have you ever gotten the sharpening ghiblis? Tell us your sharpening ghiblis.
Sharpening ghiblis, yeah. You can see like I'm harsh, like my hairs are standing up right now.
Have you ever had a razor that squeaks a lot?
Oh.
That's the worst. Yumi has to like leave the store.
Yeah, exactly. One of our employees can't stand the sound of styrofoam.
And makes your teeth hurt.
Yeah.
You guys are huge babies. Styrofoam's not a big deal.
Yeah, styrofoam's not a big deal.
Squeaky razors, though, it's rough.
I'm a rub styrofoam until the last person dies.
Wow, that's a long time.
Or until I die. Who knows
what's going to happen?
Whatever comes first, yeah. Whatever comes first. Okay. So edge on the other side has been developed, right? It's good to go. And take the blade here and just kind of strop. All right, so if you guys have any questions, by the way, I forgot to mention this. If you guys have any questions, pop it in the question here, and we'll relay it back to me.
If I feel like it.
Yeah, if he feels like it.
Or if it's inappropriate, I definitely will.
Yeah.
Give me the most inappropriate comments that you got.
Exactly.
Francis squirm over there.
I got squirm. Me squirm?
Me?
Francis? Squirm? Like a tadpole? What you talking about?
The tadpoles are crazy. How those guys turn into frogs? How does that happen?
I know.
We should be doing a show about that. It's butcher knife sharpening stuff. Let's talk about tadpoles for a minute, guys.
Let's talk about tadpoles.
Yeah.
You know, tadpoles are amazing little creatures here. I have not seen very many tadpoles. Tadpoles are not my specialty. I don't study a lot of tadpoles, but tadpoles are cool, right? Who doesn't like a tadpole? Who doesn't like a tadpole? Man,
they turn into frogs.
Frogs,
so nuts.
Frogs are amazing. They jump so high, man. They come with no legs, and they grow legs, and then their legs are so strong to jump. Man, if I had a frog leg, those are tasty. By the way, they are tasty, but man, they're muscly.
Yeah, they start with no tail. They start with only tail and head, and they end up with tiny head and no tail and all legs.
Imagine if I could grill a tail. Like, what would I do with a tail?
We do eat oxtail. That's the only tail I can think of that human beings ingest on a regular basis.
True.
So anybody else has any tales out there about eating tails? Put them in the comments.
Tail of eating tails.
If you have questions about tadpoles, frogs, or tails of eating tails, let us know.
Okay. Aside from tadpoles and tails now, we finally got our knife sharpened here. So I just take it to my strop here. You can see it's got a nice edge to it. Now the edge of the tip there is going to be hard, so I'm just going to simply push into the edge there. And you can see it's nice and sharp now. Right? It ain't going to be like the sharpest blade. Like, it's not going to feel like a razor through the edge to the paper. Not like you want to put a razor on the edge of a paper, but it's going to feel a lot smoother. But it's not going to be very... it's not going to have a huge advantage on these type of knives because you're going to be, bam, right? You're going to be chucking it through, put a mallet into the back there, just really hating life and shit like that.
Whoa, what do you hate? Yeah. That's the most fun thing. I really like cutting up ribs that way.
Yeah, just having a mallet.
That's a ton of fun. Yeah, get yourself a mallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't like to swing it into stuff. I like to bonk the back of it with a mallet.
I've been working on the bonking. Okay, so... so that you can use a cleaver with these guys or mallet with these guys, and that's how you sharpen up one of these funny doodads of a cleaver.
Our buddy D-Hop is looking to sharpen up his Kramer. He wants to thin his Kramer.
Thin your Kramer.
It's a little bit tricky because that one doesn't have a shinogi. So
you know what? The Kramer knives have a really distal taper to it, to the very edge when you buy them brand new. So when you sharpen them, they don't really create any more of a bevel. So I would just confidently sharpen it. Go at a bit of a higher angle. Maybe start around if your knife needs to, if the cladding's already touched the very edge of the knife there, probably want to start out maybe around maybe 2 to 3 degrees off the edge there, and slowly drop your angle slowly towards the face of the knife, and then eventually I'll start to develop a bit of a bevel for yourself to work on.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to do those guys. Yeah, you want to start at like 2 or 3 degrees, almost like you're making a big wide blade road.
Exactly.
And slowly lower. He got himself a Knifewear 220, he says, and that's a great stone to start with.
Yeah. You need to use something really rough to kind of grind the material really quickly. So that's a great stone to work with. And then, just slowly use it. If you need to, a nice trick that I do is just use some masking tape and just place it around the area where I don't want to scratch. And that way, if it goes too low, it starts to scratch up the blade, and I know if I'm going too low or not, right? So use some tools like that. Use every possible thing to really help you out. But it goes nice and slow. You'll eventually get it. You'll have a fun time doing that. And if you have the one with the Euro Damascus, come over to one of our Knifewear shops. If you mess up the finish, we can help you out finish it up. We
can do acid etching for it. It looks like you got one of the carbon ones. That's going to be a lot easier to sharpen.
When you get the carbon ones, they grind out really nicely. But you don't have to worry about getting it super perfect, because eventually when you start to use it, it'll start to patina anyways. And then you won't even really see the difference. It'll be in your head, but nothing that people won't notice themselves.
I think we pretty much got everything. Do you want to hit up a Nagura stone, maybe? Show everybody what a Nagura stone is all about?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I nailed it. Okay, Nagura stone.
Yeah, and if you have any other questions, just throw them in now. We'll lay them on to Frank.
If you guys don't ask a question in the next 5 minutes, I'm not answering it. It's too bad.
Sorry, guys. He's the boss.
All right, so let's get a pretty nasty, dirty stone here. I'm going to put this guy back here. This 2000 for my example here. So this 2000 is kind of scraggly. We've used it, and it is pretty flat, but not as flat as one of our other knives are. But it's also pretty dirty, right? So let's see, it's a nasty stone. It's not really that clean. A little bit of knife element still in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Nagura stone. Nagura stone is about a 600 grit stone. You can also get them in very different materials too. They're just basically cleaning or erasers for the top of your stone. If you don't want to flatten it or anything like that, and take all that time, you just simply use Nagura stone. This is going to help us lift a bit of that slurry and get it mixed in with the Nagura there, and really help to kind of get that first part of the sharpening started up. When people sharpen their knives, typically they would do it on somewhat of a dry stone, not dry, but basically cleaned off with a string stone and then water, and then you start from there. what you want to do is you want to develop a bit of that mud, and that mud is what's really helps to kind of cut the steel up faster and give you a really nice even sharpening, right? So try to build that as much as possible. The Negura stone helps with that. You can start to see it start to, right off the bat there, it starts to clean the surface of it. There's a bit of that Negura or that 2000 grit on the stone here. And it just gets started. It just gets it started. It's a really nice stone to work with. Once it's cleaned up and it's ready to go, you can start to sharpen any knife you need as you go. All right. And as you sharpen the blade, the mud will start to move around, which is going to help to conform to the shape of the bevel a bit better. And all that loose grit is going to give you a really even edge to it. So it's always nice that you have a Negura stone handy by your side. You can do the same thing with like a trine stone or a diamond stone of some sort. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a good class right there.
Yeah. Thanks, Francis.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, pop them in. Why don't you sign off for us?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let us know. You guys can always connect. If you guys got something that you have in mind and you didn't really know, and we're already off here, you can pop out the questions to hello@knifewear.com. We also got a ton of YouTube videos if you guys are new to sharpening. Just for all our beginners, just trying to start off with understanding how to develop an edge and all that kind of stuff. It's all on YouTube. How to use a knife, how to pick a knife, how to choose a knife, right? We got all of those available on our YouTube page. You can also follow us on Instagram or on our TikTok page. And like I said, we'll be posting a lot of like kind of funny jokes and memes and stuff like that.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok. It's way more fun.
It's way more fun.
Yeah, we have dope videos.
Way more fun.
Francis is such a good editor. You wouldn't believe the shit that he's pulling out.
It's a lot of fun. If you guys if you like hilarious jokes, we're a bit more wackier.
I personally hate hilarious jokes, so I'm not going to subscribe. I'm the one person in the world who hates jokes.
I hate you.
Yeah, I don't like jokes. I don't like music. Yeah.
That guy, he doesn't have TikTok either anyways. You can always follow us on there on our social media. And yeah, if you guys are interested in more like one of these classes that we do here, we always hold them every Thursday from 6:15 to whenever we finish our sharpening. And our NATO class, we have it on Friday evenings, and he goes more into detail about like what's our like the more advanced type of techniques like wide bevel sharpening, single bevel sharpening, NATO sharpening, that kind of stuff.
And hopefully soon we get to go back to doing these in person.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
in a few months here, like we're hoping maybe like September, October, we can start teaching real classes.
Eventually be back in our system here.
Yeah.
Once everything stays back and all our staff gets vaccinated with 2 shots here after a couple of weeks, we'll be happy to see you guys in the shop again.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting pretty excited. We're gearing up. We got some big plans, so can't wait for that to happen pretty soon. But
that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah. I'm just going to place the big old happy Buddha right in front of you guys, just so you guys can stare at him. And